The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, morrismedialive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
We're on. Hey, excuse me. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good. Actually, it's morning. I'm Lewis Dix, and that meme was funny. Can you put that back? Was that that was? Aaron. I can do bad all by myself. Now that is hilarious. I don't like the girl thing, but okay, that's funny. That's funny. The wig is killing me. All right, Aaron. Okay, Aaron. All right, that's funny. Hey, I'm Lewis Dix, and as you can see, I am alone. It is one thing you'll learn about comedians is that they don't do the AM well unless they're on a flight or they're getting paid enough money to get up that early. Most comedians I know are afternoon, but I'm up. It's not a new time. It's just we adjusted it. And for all the people who are up, East Coast, you should be up. We have an interesting show for me because it's a personal show. And a lot of you who know me know that being a father is important to me. And today, In a Man's World, that's the name of the show, In a Man's World. I'm going to talk about being a father. I kind of want to pay it forward, to my dad. I want to thank him for Lewis Dix Sr. for being present, which was, it's funny, we have our version, every child has their version of being present in their parents and what they think of them. I have mine with my kids and the way I thought that I was. Every parent thinks, most of them think that they did. We all have different versions. My dad has a version of what kind of father he was. I have my version of what kind of father I thought he was, and I'm finding out as your children get older that my kids have a version of what kind of parents we were. And that's part of it. That's because first of all, you do the best you can. And to the parents who are out there who are present, and to all of those out there who have lost a parent or never met their parent, peace to your heart. Because it's funny because I talk to some people and I hear stories about people saying, I've never met my dad. And he used to live right around the corner, or he lived in the same city. And some people I never want to meet him, or I just some people go out of the way to find their father and then reunite with their dad. It's so many I guess celebrities or people who have just different people who have, and I'll mention them later, who didn't have their father in their life and they're successful. There are a lot of people who have challenges, and there's a lot of people who had their father in their life who went left. And as a parent, you do your best to give your kid a foundation. One of the toughest jobs on earth, and that's that a man can have, is being a father. There are good ones, bad ones, abusive ones, and ones that the government is looking for. So my question to you today, if you're out there, is what kind of father are you? Or what kind of father did you have or didn't have? Our number is 323-815-9, I'm sorry, 323, it's too early for me, 323-815-4204. 323-815-4204. It's interesting whenever I hear that on the radio and people give out numbers and they give it out twice because you still need it like 3 times for some reason. You realize you want to call and you missed it the first time. The second time you get half the number, the prefix or the suffix. So it's 323-815-4204. Now maybe it's different now with cell phones because you young people are so adapted doing things. But So I think I was a present father. I thought I was a good father. I might have, and I'm learning this from my son, that my tone for him was too loud. I'm yelling because even now when I have a conversation with him and he's, 20, late 20s, is you yelling at me, Dad? You yelling? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make a point. So I'm assuming, if I'm going to be honest, that even a friend of mine said, yeah, I met your son and he doesn't have the same bark as you. I was like, okay, because I guess I do have, and I know my players, when I coach, I have a bark, and I have a tendency to, and maybe that, I think that's, to be honest, that's me covering up. I wish I could be more calm and have, if I had more confidence in the things that I do have confidence, I don't yell, so I guess that's, I looked up in Wikipedia what a father, it's a noun, and I'm sure this has changed with all the different parenting, it's, same-sex fathers and, dad, mom, and I'm sure, because even during Father's Day, women want to change it or say that there are a lot of mothers who play the role of the father, and they do, but this is in a man's world. We're talking about fathers, men. And it says that father's a noun, is a male parent of a child. Besides the paternal bonds of a father to his children, the father may have a paternal, legal, and social relationship with the child that carries with it certain rights and obligations, although this varies between jurisdictions. So, and for those of you with child support, legally what you're obligated to do. You're supposed to take care of that child, and a lot of cats get caught up to where it's not their child, but they take care of it. And hey, big shout out to the stepfathers who step up and the kids aren't even theirs. I mean, that's a man's man. Because you're taking care of somebody else, and man, it's so tough. We'll get into that about how dealing with when you're a stepchild, dealing with the baby's daddy, and even if you remarry and the wife has to deal with your baby's mama, and people just today just rather choose arguing than it's for the videos. Sometimes I get caught up watching these videos like everyone else, and people are screaming and yelling and just getting their likes up. But 81% of men say whether or not they're fathers, believe that watching children grow up is life's greatest joy. That's interesting. Because you love, but it's because whenever I see homeless people or people who are struggling, I say to myself, wow, that person was a little kid one time. And where did it go left? That person was, is challenged now, and just say, hey, I'm out in the streets, and you think that a kid was 8, 9, 5, running around, cute, and just like you say, wow, your heart, and it's funny because you see little kids, and I'm gonna talk about that. I've met little kids, little where you just say, I don't like that little kid, and you're not supposed to feel that way, and you don't know why that little kid just rubs me the wrong way. They could be like 4 or 5. You like, I don't like that kid, So, and then I was on campus the other day, and I was looking at all these are like the campus I work on, little well-off kids, and I'm thinking, like, statistically, one of them will probably end up on the street, homeless, no matter how they started. Their family could be rich, they just might decide, or their brain is not working right, and that's what they do, and that's, or circumstances beyond their control. So that's really, I think if we begin to look at it differently, maybe that way. I don't know. I have 3 children. 2 are living, and 1 is in heaven. And baby Sydney only lived for 17 days on Earth. Mom had a uterine rupture, which is ruptured uterus during birth, and Sydney didn't get enough oxygen to her brain. So she was, brain dead. All of her vitals were working and everything, but she was on a ventilator. She was so to help her breathe, and we. After 17 days, we took her off. It was tragic because it was our 3rd child, so we kind of felt like, we had this rhythm down. We really didn't foresee anything. It was like routine. We thought and then all of a sudden, she's in the hospital waiting, and then boom, all I heard was she's crashing, And bam, they get back, and they're wheeling her out and all that. And then, she lost a lot of blood, and it was, we almost lost her. And then, they came and they gave you the news that, hey, she doesn't have any brain activity, and we're hoping for the best. And Mom was just, and I'm sure Mom was 10 times more devastated than I was. Interesting thing, Mom just moved, and we had a rock that we had her name engraved on and everything, and she gave that to me. One, she probably didn't have room for it in her place. So, so I every morning now when I rub her rock and say good morning to her. And it's funny because around her birthday, she's, it's interesting. April 28th, I get a feeling. And I start talking. I talk to her a lot. She's our angel. She's protected us left and right. And you all know, if you have angels out there, she's looked over her brother, her sister, Mom, me, and so she's our angel. And then we have the three. So I know she's doing well because she's up in heaven. The other two, our firstborn, Lewis III, and I named him. It's a big thing about naming your kids. It's like I was a junior, and not that my dad was, I don't know. I'm like, I'm going to name my son after me. And I knew right away, as soon as she came and told me she was pregnant, I'm like, it's a boy. And I even wrote her a note, like, it's a boy. I knew it was a boy. I just felt it. My brother had girls, and, I was like, my older sister had a boy. And then I knew I knew I had a boy. I just knew he was a boy. And, so he's cool, he's calm, he's corporate. That's where he works. He's a graduate of Morehouse. He's like 28, no kids. He has a girlfriend he's had for like 2 years, and he's going through a challenge of finding his passion. And locking in on it. He lives in L.A. He's just going through what most men go through, or humans go through at that age before you hit 30. Like, what's my passion? What do I want to do? And we're trying to give him space. Well, I'm giving him space. Mom's not giving him space. She's straight up pushing him, like, what you gonna do? Da-da-da-da. So, he's got a, like I tell you, he got a job. Let her, well, he's got a, so, and that's good on one end. But again, being a father, I know how important it is as a man to give a young black man space so he can figure it out. And that's what I'm doing. Mom is, and it's good when you find a woman like that pushes you, because that's what made me grind, because I didn't want to disappoint her. Bless you. Someone just sneezed. And so she's that way. I'm more or less, because my dad did that to me. He gave me space, helped me figure it out, and then, that was that. But we're just glad Mom's ready to have a grandchild. I'm not, And plus the girl he's dating is not that good looking. So I'm like, hold back on that one, So, because, she's a nice girl, but I don't want to say she ugly. She handsome. How about that? That's a good way to put it. But she's a nice girl. Our second born, Peyton, that's my baby, or as I call her, Pepe. It's interesting that, and those of you think about it, your parents give you nicknames that usually stick. I don't care how grown you get. They, even now I'll call her Pepe. We tried to give Lewis a nickname. We tried to call him Trey because he was Lewis III. That didn't stick. Mom has nicknames for her girls. I don't know. I was Louie. I was Little Louie. That was me growing up. To my parents, my mom, Little Louie, when they called me. Big Louie, Little Louie. My friends called me Wally Gator because I had a big nose with the alligator. That was part of everybody had a nickname growing up. Now, I'm sure if you gave kid nicknames, it'd be bullying. So, but we had nicknames. If you were fat, they usually called you Slim. If you were slim, they called you Big Boy. Just different things. It's just how we grew up. But baby girl is Pepe. She's second born. She's aggressive. She's strong-willed and creative. She graduated from Emerson College, and she does have a partner. She's been with her partner for over 3 years. They just moved in together. They live in Brooklyn, New York. And it's funny how you can have the same kid grow up in the same house but different. I remember one time we were washing the car, and Lewis and Peyton were in the car, and Lewis was driving, pretending like he was driving, and Peyton was on the passenger side. And I heard Peyton say, "Start it up. Let's drive it for real." And I was like, "That's the one that's gonna." And then I heard Lewis say, "Well, we should put our seatbelts on, because the firstborn's name should be Look Out, Don't Go There, You Might Die. Don't touch that." That's what because you're so scared as a new parent. And then as the second born, you like, "Hey, come on, jump here. Let's see if you can make it." Because they're daring, and so that's what you do. And it's funny, just how kids can. I want to show you a clip throughout, because I know I'm going to be talking. I want to show you guys. We're going to play clip number 1. It's just clips of comedians who talk about growing up and their parents and different things that they go through. This is Jinx. I think it's YEO. I don't know. Yay. Jinx, funny guy. I've been going on the internet listening to comedians, and I normally don't do that. But for the show, I was like, okay. And here he is.
Parents always like to tell their kids the same things, right? Parents always say, "Hey, finish your food," because there are starving children in Africa. How come parents never say the other way around? Like, "Hey, don't finish your food, because there are fat kids in America." Another thing parents tell their kids, I heard this guy telling his son, "Hey, don't tell lies. If not, your nose will grow longer." I'm like, wow, that guy just taught his kid not to lie by lying to him.
And that was, to me, that was funny, because I'm just thinking that the things that we told, you couldn't, watch just the things. I saw a black cat walking across in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, don't open up! You couldn't open your umbrella in the house." Our thing was, "I brought you in this world, I'd take you out." That was our thing, and we knew that wasn't true, but even when they said things like, "I'll slap the black off you," I thought all light-skinned people were evil. I'm like, where'd they black go? But it's. I heard one of my white friends, his dad said, "If you do that one more time, Johnny, I'll tie a knot in your butt." And I was like, that's nasty, But it's just weird things parents say because you're in that moment. I want to begin with when you first found out that you were going to be a father, and I go through the years 0 to 5 years old. So I just want to. Like when you first found out as a man, what was your reaction? Was it positive or negative? That's always, you always hear that phrase, "We need to talk." And then the girl has a tone, and you just like, I was pre-condom era when, before AIDS, when condoms, you did it. People could get pregnant. My sister got pregnant when she was like 15 or 14, I've been lucky. I was the last one in our family to have kids, but that whole thing, you didn't hear about, "I missed my cycle" or nothing like that. I'm pregnant.
Wait, did you say
What?
that condoms, you were born before condoms?
No, I meant I was, okay, I was having sex before it was a big push to use condoms. That's what I meant. But yeah, I did say that, yes. But I meant that, like, when I was having, in the 70s, mid-70s, when I was having sex, it wasn't a big thing of,
What you pulled out, what was your method if you didn't use a condom?
Well, I had my first experience when I was, an old lady got me. Okay, Brenda. She's like, "Come in here," and I think I was like 13, maybe 14. She came in here and she said, "Come in here," and then she took her clothes off and said, "Get on me," and and I just did what I thought I was supposed to do, and it's like I thought I was going to the bathroom. I thought I was doing number one. I thought I was urinating there. I was like, what is coming out of me? So,
oh my God. Okay, so that's young, 13.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that has affected you throughout your life? Because that's
until it definitely did until I got control of it.
Because they say like that'd be the ultimate all-time crime if you were a girl,
right?
But they don't tend to look at it the same way when it's a boy.
No, definitely, and definitely not my neighbor. I mean, it was at the time I didn't know that was her thing with the neighborhood boys. A couple of my other buddies, when I went and said, "Oh man, I was at Brenda's house, man, Brenda," you know,
and they knew Brenda.
They knew. It was like, "Oh man, I last Thursday I was there," so I was like, you know, and I was like the athlete, so I guess I was kind of big and kind of looked strong, and I worked at the corner store, you know, so, and then she's always come in there, and then
That's interesting because I wonder what the percentages of female pedophiles, because she's a pedophile.
Oh yeah, Brenda was, and it was another lady that lived on the other side in between the blocks. It was another lady, I can't remember her name, but she was open her screen door, and
wow,
we'd be playing football, and then one of us would run over through there and be like, "Oh, he's going to
wow,
Miss Simone's house," you know, and
but what's a trip is that the guys were willing to do it.
Oh yeah, that was a rites of passage. I mean, that's how you know, that was the thing. Because our fathers, we heard, like, we weren't privy to a lot of adult conversations, but when the men were talking, we would listen, and their whole thing was about, my dad was really about sex. He talked about it all the time.
So did he know that you had sex at 13?
No, you didn't share that with them. Because
what do you think his reaction would have been, since he
would have tried to get some. He would have tried to. I mean, I remember one time, it was a girl who was, and mind you, our parents.
Where she live at?
Yeah, my parents were like, you know, our parents.
Go over there and set her straight.
So, you know, like, my dad was, when I was like 14 or 13, 14, my dad was only, you know, 20 something, late 20. He had me when he was like early 30s, because he had me.
So
when
was she older than your dad?
No, they were around they could have been the same age or a little younger. But I mean, I don't know. You know, at that age, you don't really know their age. But she was, one time my dad was driving me and my buddies, and he was dropping this girl off who was she was like 18 or 19. She was our buddy's sister, and she was pregnant. So my boys used to tease my dad all the time about how, you know, because I lived with my dad. When my mom and dad got divorced, I lived with my dad back in the neighborhood. So that was the house everybody came to. So they was like, "Man, your dad's a freak. Your dad's a freak." Because one time I found a letter that this woman, because my dad used to have women come over all the time, and they were really nice. He had different women. One would come over and clean, one would come over and cook.
Okay, so were your parents married at the time?
No, they were divorced. And I moved back to the old house and lived with my dad. When I turned 15, I wanted to live with my dad. I was away from my neighborhood. And I remember that was a big thing for my mom. I went to her and said, "I want to move with Daddy." And she started crying, and she dropped me off and said, "Hey, you know," it was around my birthday, and she gave me a watch and says, "I don't know why you." Oh, what happened was I did something that to this day I just so regret. It was such a weak moment in my life, but I was only 15 or 14 years old. When my mom and dad were getting divorced, my mom went back to the old house to talk to my dad about getting furniture and stuff like that. And I was in the house, in my mom's house, and they were arguing, and he said, "Go outside." And, you know, I went outside, then I heard them fighting, I heard them putting hands on her. And I was about to go in, and then I didn't. And then she came out, and she was holding her face, and then we got in the car, and then she stopped.
How old were you?
I was about 14. You know, I was about 14. And she stopped. She pulled the car over, and she said, "I don't know why you didn't come in to stop him."
Wow.
And I was like, "I don't know, Mom." And then she's like, and then she said, "I know you want to move with him." Then she said, "Happy birthday. I'm going to get your stuff, and you can go move with him." But to this day, it pains me whenever I've tried to block it out, but that was the weakest moment and I've never forgiven my dad for it. But like when my dad
have you talked to your mom? Did you ever, as a grown man, apologize?
No. Well, yeah,
I
said I was sorry about that moment, and I told her I didn't understand. It was right before I got married when I had the conversation with her.
I think you need to forgive yourself for that, Lewis.
You know? So that was
You were 14. You probably were scared, for one. You probably were scared.
Mm-hmm.
And if you apologized to your mom for that moment, I really think you need to forgive yourself at this point.
Yeah.
I know it's fucked up. I mean, but what can you do about it? Nothing.
No. And then you try to find.
There's nothing left to do about that but to forgive yourself.
Right. And that made me decide that I would never try to create that kind of home in my house. Even though at times I did yell when I didn't want to yell.
Aaron Gladman said that's Will Smith's story as well. Like something like that happened probably with him. I mean, I, at some point in my life, grew up in an abusive household, not with my dad, but it's stressful for a kid to hear their parents argue, to physically fight. I mean, but I guess at 14, I mean, shit, he might have knocked your ass out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was that wasn't the only time. One time I did intercede, and he put it on me. He put it on me. He tagged me a few times, and I was like, and I'm sure that probably happened before. That's why I didn't do anything the second time. But you know, like you said, it's
it's time that you forgive yourself for that. You apologize to your mom. She probably doesn't think about it anymore. But
yeah, she's a strong woman because she's able to be in the same room with him and with his new wife of 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, when you're not emotionally attached, none of that matters really. But at this point, yeah, that's all you have left to do with that.
Yeah. So, thank you for that. But some 0 to 5 years old is fun years, man. Like, it was funny because what was your reaction? That was my question, you guys out there. What was your reaction? Mine was positive. I never had any other slip-ups. That was the first time a girl had come to me and said that she was pregnant. And right away, when the kid's mom said, I said, okay, we got to get married right away. And she's like, why? I said, because I don't want to have a kid out of wedlock. Too late. So we got married right away. And but I knew her and I were on the same page about raising children because that was a lot of conversation we had about. And she was from the Black Panther Party, and she had a corporate foundation, and I knew I was creative, so I wanted that balance, and I knew that she would be a good mom. And that was one of my questions, too. Did you feel the mother of your child would be a good mom? And I kind of knew, and she's proven that. And I said, who was the first person you told? And then I wrote a little joke. Was it your side piece? You know.
Can I ask this? When you guys, as a guy, do you guys ever think about, before you have sex with a girl, whether you met her 5 minutes ago or been knowing her, do you ever think about this could possibly be the mother of my child?
Well, first we go by looks. She's fine. And it's all in our loins at that point. It's not in our brain. It's all that blood is flowing there, and that's what I want. And you think about that after, when you're laying up. But you think about how good it was. If it was really good, you're like, she's, then you start thinking about her. But no, you don't really think about that until you reach a moment of, normally I would say most of the time she brings it up in some form or fashion. The girl will bring it up about you guys being together and you guys long term.
Okay,
guys
so
don't think
this
like that.
Person that you got pregnant, that's not the wife you had 2 kids with.
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever gotten anybody pregnant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I made it to late 20s before, I missed that.
So you were in a relationship with
her, yes. Her. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I was in a relationship with her and for about a year and a half. But I knew right away, I said to myself that, that's the one. That was before we got, I was like, man, that's the one. And I was going straight on looks. Like, wow, she's beautiful. And then after talking to her, I was like, okay, this is.
Yeah, because I heard she was the baddest chick in Oakland.
Yeah, that's how funny I was. That's how funny I was. You can either be funny at different levels.
She sure didn't.
Yeah, she
look at you for look.
Yeah, no. I had my mother's eyes. I had good teeth. Certain things, I'm sure she looked at like, okay, my kids have good teeth. My kids have good eyes, But it was more about what we wanted to create, and I think that was important, and that showed because we weren't really on the same page as far as each other. we were definitely on the same page as far as what kind of family we wanted to create, what kind of home we wanted to create, but not how we wanted to treat each other and love each other. That wasn't on the forefront. And also one of my other things, were you financially ready? Now I know, it's funny, I always say this whenever somebody has a new baby and they tell me they got a new baby. I was like, God feeds the babies for some reason. When you have a child, money comes. Money comes. God feeds the children. So I was working. I had done a little bit of television, and I was just stepping into my comedy, and things were going well. So I was living in a little apartment in the jungle on Aborn. My rent was $450 a month. And I was making a lot of money. So, and I drove a little beat up Volkswagen. So when she got pregnant, we got married, we moved into the little place and stayed there for about a year and a half.
Did her family have money?
No.
Oh, okay.
We were both, no. Her family didn't have money. Her family was somewhat very dysfunctional. And that was interesting because her family was dysfunctional. She didn't know her dad. Her mom was a lesbian. She was really upset that her grandfather gave her cousin a car for graduation, and she graduated and they only gave her a watch. And she had started her corporate life when she was young. So that's who she was. She honored the corporate world to this day. Okay. Because they fed her when she took care of her. So she really wasn't about honoring the creative side with me until she saw the kind of money I was making. Because I used to tease, I'm like, I'm liquid cash, you non-liquid. I'm non-liquid cash, and you liquid. No, I'm liquid cash, you non-liquid. I'll make the money, give it to you, you put it places, and we'll be okay. So then after about a year and a half, we got pregnant again with Peyton, and she said, I can't bring this child home to this apartment. We need to get a house. So I was like, all right, cool. So go ahead. And, I didn't have any bad credit or any credit because I never purchased anything, and she was good. So I was like, yeah, go ahead. Just find a place. And she went out and found a place. First, she tried to have us move around her white friends. I'm like, no, we ain't doing that. We're not moving there. So I did. And I said I wanted a house with a backyard. So she got the house, and we got the house. And then it started from there. The whole world that she created that I was cool with because I knew it would have been a good world for the kids to grow up in. Private schools, and all that stuff. I just knew I had to go out and grind and make money and hustle, which I was okay with. I had been doing that since I was 12. So, and it's funny because I read that the fathers of over 1 million children are in prisons today. And 63% of teen suicides come from fatherless homes. So I made it a point that I was going to be present. And it was interesting being a father. First thing she wanted to do, and this was that corporate side where you have to stand tall as a man. She's like, well, we're going to get a nanny. I mean, we ain't get no nanny. My mom can come, your mom can come. We ain't get no nanny. And then she put them in this daycare, private school daycare, which she's like, they have to be there by 7:30 or 8 o'clock. I was like, no, I don't have to be to work till, 3. I was like, no, they're going to get there maybe 11. They're going to hang with me around the house and play with me. We're not going with that. And she used to get mad. And then I was like, nope. And it's funny because Marcus King's daughter went to the same preschool, and him and I were like only black guys there. And no matter what school or pre-K, I used to stay there because there was never any black males around. So I used to stay. So and my uncle Jake, God rest his soul, had always told me the black men have to be a presence in their child's life on campus. Because a lot of people think that kids don't have fathers or black fathers. So I was like, no, that's not rolling. So I was always to the point where when they first started kindergarten and pre-K and first, second grade, I was there all the time until it was time, the bell rang. And teachers the kids, you can't be staying there all the time. I was like, no, they need to know. And because they think whenever you're at a private school, they always think the black males have to be tested because they don't listen the same way as little white kids, and he's always staring at me. Yeah, because we're taught that somebody's talking to you, you look at them and you don't roll your eyes and none of that. Like, you don't say what. And so that was our thing. And And it says daughters of single parents without a father involved are 53% most likely to marry as teenagers and 71% more likely to have children as teenagers. An interesting thing, I would not let men, if they weren't in our family, when they would come over visit or my wife's girlfriends, boyfriends come over, I never let them put my kids on their lap, especially my daughter. I was like, I would walk in one time, I saw this guy with my daughter. I was like, hey, Peyton, get off his lap. And he was like, I was just playing with her. Well, you go play with your own child. Because see, back in the day, the old heads made sure that the perverts stayed away from our kids. Now, because they were perverts all over. And I just wasn't having it. I was just really overprotected about my babies. We didn't do sleepovers. If a kid wanted to have a sleepover, they came over to our house. And it was funny because these private school sleepovers, because our sleepovers, when our generation was, you went over your cousin's house. That's who you slept over. You spent the night at your cousin's house. You didn't go with a school friend at their house when they were younger, because most of your friends were in your neighborhood. And in our neighborhood, they wasn't feeding no kid. You go home and eat. Every 1 or 2 houses, they would let you eat in their house, but you go home and eat. But only time I remember us having sleepovers or spending the night was at my cousin's or uncle's house, and they had kids and we play, and we used to always bring our pajamas, and that was something I noticed too we were kind of middle class growing up because my dad had a good job and my mom didn't really work. But the first time I noticed that we were kind of different was we had pajamas and my cousins and them didn't have pajamas. They would take a bath and put the same clothes back on. And I was like, wow, that's weird. They don't have pajamas? Because we had winter pajamas and summer pajamas. We had pajama shorts. And our cousins used to tease us that we were bougie. And my grandmother used to get mad because whenever we had fried chicken, we wouldn't eat all the meat off the chicken. Them kids wasting meat. They got to eat, because my grandmother used to eat the marrow of it. And they used to get mad. These damn kids, and your kids don't even know how to eat chicken. Because we she used to make us suck that chicken. I was like, this woman's crazy. Mama was her name. She was crazy. She used to make us, and she's like, you had never ate no bone marrow? That's good for you. Because black people always thought that they knew what was good for you right. medically, and they never knew. When the bone marrow, so, but she made a mean yellow cake, though. That was the thing. I used to go over, she made it, but I didn't mess with chitlins. How can you kids grow up black and not eat chitlins? She used to dog us, It was like, that stuff smell. We're not in pig's feet. I never ate none of that stuff.
Well, for them, it was survival food. So.
Right. And my grandmother used to eat snuff, and she was to spit in the thing. And she used to smoke Philip Morris regular. And I used to have to go to the store and get her Philip Morris regular. And she used to smoke. She used to have you light the cigarette.
You could go to the store with a note.
Yeah, get alcohol. D.L. Hughley has a funny joke about that, about how you on a big wheel bringing a fifth of gin and some cool cigarettes about that. So, hey, the number is 323-815-4204. Give us a call and let us know what it was like growing up for you. In about 2 minutes, I'm going to have a friend of mine call in, comedian LaMont Ferrell. Excited to talk to him. He's doing some good stuff, and I'll tell you about it. He's actually currently working on a pilot TV show with a really funny comedian, Bruce. And he's actually doing it, and he said he would take time out to give me a call. So I wanted to say the first 5 years can be a lot of fun, and it's easy. I mean, that's what you learn as a parent. You think it's hard from 0 to 5 years old. You like, it's easy compared to when they get older, because it's we didn't really whip our kids. Mom she was of this, one time she gave me this book called Perfect Parenting. I'm like, really? That's what we doing? Did
you read it?
Yes, I did. And that's the funny thing. I did all the reading and stuff like that for comedy, because I knew.
Was it?
No, it was saying things you wasn't supposed to say. Stuff like, shut up. You're supposed to say.
Be quiet.
Yeah, be quiet. You wasn't supposed to say. What was the one word that killed me? Was
what?
I don't care. I don't care.
You can't say what?
Yeah. I don't care. When a kid says that, you can't say I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're supposed to say. Right now, I'm gonna listen first, and you were supposed to come down. The book said whenever you're talking to your kid, bend down to them, and then it had a thing of colors, like, hey, are you yellow? Are you green? Are you red right now? I told mom, I was like, that's red light, green light. That's all that is.
It sounds like you would do that kind of shit, though, Lee.
I did do that kind of stuff. I was, but
You know what I hate is I hate when I'm out in public, and unfortunately I see this with a lot of black mothers, is they talk so bad to their kids.
Oh yeah.
Shut your motherfucking ass up.
Yeah.
Sit your goddamn ass down. I'm like, wow.
Right.
Like,
and you wonder why they grew up talking that way. And it's funny. Yeah, no, you see it all the time.
and half the time the kid is not acting out.
Right. But that's pressure. That's pressure I totally understand, because it is a lot of pressure raising a kid on your own. On your own, because there's a balance. I know if there's certain ways you get tired as a parent. You get so frustrated. Like even as a man.
My parent talked to me like that, but
yeah, right.
But just hearing it, and I don't know if it's this day and age.
I think our parents' tone was different. It wasn't. They say those things like they're talking to an adult. Our parents didn't have the same oomph on the word. I'll kick your. You really think when you hear them, you're like, that kid needs to be rescued.
And sometimes all your parent had to do was look at you.
Oh yeah, that's all. Ours was just a straight look. But it's interesting because when you think about, because we had a thing, the timeout chair, and I was saying it's funny because all they did was sit there and think of something else to do. And we got pictures of our son sitting in the timeout chair, and that came from all that private school stuff. He needs a timeout. He needs to. Say something, he needs to share his feelings, or let's have him do this puzzle. So, it was, okay, I want to play this before LaMont comes up. I want to play this clip number 2, and it talks about being disciplined, which I thought was really, Fred Cleet, I think his name is.
Grown up in
I think that's, his delivery is hilarious. His delivery is really funny. Fred Cleet. If you're just joining us, we're talking about being a father and what it means to you, and how you reacted, how you dealt with it. What was your reaction when you were first told? Who was the first person you told? Did you want a boy or a girl? And most men can say what they want, but they want boys. They want boys. Did you feel the mother or your child would be a good mom? Were you financially ready? 323-815-4204 is the number. Give us a call. And we were talking about we were going through the phase of 0 to 5, and now we're gonna enter the phase of 6 to 11 years old, and I call that phase the first. First day of school, first friend, first bully, first real loss, first major scare, and of course, first report card. So you can see how, if your kid is smart or on its way to the short yellow bus, which is an old joke, which you probably can't tell now because of all the protective things that's here to help kids be better, and not the way we grew up. As far as like spanking is not a good thing. That's why timeout came into, because even like with my kids, if you have a kid, under 28, 30, you more or less, if you were that type of parent, you child-proofed your house. You put the thing in the drawer so they wouldn't open it. You covered the plug so, and so they wouldn't stick their finger in the plug and socket. And our proof growing up was you stuck your hand in that socket and got shocked. That was proof not to do it again. You put the fence up there so they wouldn't go down the steps. And in our generation, it took one of your brothers or sisters to fall down the steps, and everybody's like, I think I'm going to go down on my stomach. It took one kid in the neighborhood to run across the street, get hit by a car. Everybody's like, we should look both ways. That was just how, we grew up. So now everything is child protective services, urgent care. For us growing up, urgent care was Vicks Vapor Rub. Whatever happened, you put Vicks Vapor Rub. And I know all old school comedians do the Vicks Vapor Rub joke. And I can say I wrote it first. That's what every comic does the same premise of a certain age, white, black, no matter what. But and it was the whole child protective services. When we were growing up, child protective services were your grandparents. They'd be like, all right, don't hit that boy no more. You're gonna mess up his eye. He already cockeyed. My insurance don't cover cockeyed this. And it's just different. I mean, even to the point of parents nowadays can't even smoke cigarettes in their own home. They got to go outside their house to smoke cigarettes because of the kids and them getting asthma and all that. We were growing up, our parents smoked in the car with the windows up. All right, and then they would give you, if they had to get some out their purse, they made you hold the cigarette. And if they didn't have matches, they would say, puff it. Don't let my cigarette go out. Puff it, puff it. You 12 years old puffing a non-filter cigarette. Now you wonder why you coughing.
But now, there's so much shit in cigarettes. There weren't as many chemicals. It wasn't as bad as it is now.
Right.
There's so many chemicals they put in cigarettes. Not that it was good back then, but it's a lot worse now.
And it was interesting because, like, we live in California. And
did you ever try to smoke as a kid?
No. At my buddies and I, Fat Paul, Peanut, and Boogie, got into this thing when we were like 12, trying to smoke cigars. And I don't know why. We used to walk around thinking we were cool, smoking cigars, and it was stanky and nasty. But no, I was never a cigarette guy. So that's interesting because we just didn't. Cigarettes wasn't our thing because we were athletes too. So, we thought we were athletes. So we played sports, and it's interesting things about. I have some statistics about sports that I'm gonna read later. But we as a matter of fact, it says, and I played sports in college, and sports I think is so important for kids to learn how to be and I guess that's why I got into coaching, how to be just a better person. They say athletes are 92% less likely to get involved in drugs. I don't know how true that is today, because
until after they get into sports.
Right, and it said they're 3 times likely to graduate than non-athletes, and 80% less likely to get pregnant. I thought that was interesting because the one thing I say that when you have a kid that's in a good high school program athletically, you know where they are Friday night and Saturday morning. They're usually in recovery, and then Sunday they're at home with you.
You being a coach, nowadays, this whole everybody gets a trophy thing, what do you think about that? Even if kids aren't performing at their best, but they're still being rewarded.
Yeah, I think there's a certain age, there should be a cutoff. I think when kids are, young and they playing little, they're to the age of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. When they're before they get to 4th and 5th grade. I think up until like 5th grade, they all should, because they are participating. That's what it is. But what happens is parents have a tendency to take the fun out of it for the kids by saying stuff, because kids hear everything, that their kid or another kid is not good, he sucks, and you're better than him. And that's when it gets into that negativity, as opposed to, hey, listen, it was a good team. You guys are playing for fun and learning. You're going to get to the competitive thing. But these kids, even the stuff they hear on TV, they repeat it. And and then when they suck, it comes to their time to suck, they don't know how to handle it. So it's you, because if a kid is decent at sports and he's really good, he's usually had the right coaching and the right upbringing. The parents humble him, and they groom him to be the leader. And there are a lot of non-leaders who think they're good at that age because they're either bigger or stronger, but it usually pans itself out and balances out by the time they get in high school or in college. They're not that good. You got kids who are in 5th, 6th grade who are really good 7th grade, but by the time they get to high school, there's a kid that's better than them, and they don't know how to handle it. So it's just humbleness, and it's on a parent. It's on it's on a dad. It's on a dad, or an uncle or somebody to say, hey, man, listen, you have to humble yourself. You're not as good as you're not as bad as, I always say this to kids, you're not as bad as you think, as you look, and you're not as good as you think you are. And high school is the equalizer, because there are parents who will tell you, my kid loves basketball. And you're like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's not good, and he just wants you to. So no, I don't believe in the. We have a policy at our school where 7th and 8th grade there are no cuts. So we had like 40 8th graders come out and like 40 7th graders come out, and we had to make like 2 or 3 teams. And we have an A team, and the parents are told, okay, we're not going to cut, because back in the day we were cutting, and parents had issues with it. So, you guys are not making my kid feel good. Okay, we're not going to have cuts. But you know what? There's going to be an A team and a B team, and maybe a C team. And if your kid's good enough, he'll be on the A team. If he's not good, he'll be on the B team. If he's really bad, he'll be on the C team. Now, parents have a problem with that. Well, my kid should be on the A team. No, he's not. He's not good. So, but
your guest is here.
Oh, cool. Super cool. Hey, listen, this gentleman that I'm about to introduce is, he's from Philly. He attended Temple University. He's 20 years as a professional writer. He's written and produced over a dozen TV shows. He sold a TV pilot entitled Old School to Fox Network, and The Trouble with Girls on UPN. And he's also written on Girlfriends. He was the tour, Just Jokes comedy tour. He's actually coaching his son up, who's a hooper. And currently he's a professor at USC in the John Wells Division of Writing for Screen and Television. And actually right now he's in the middle of shooting his pilot, TV pilot with Bruce. And he took time out. So I say hello to LaMont Ferrell. LaMont. Oh, hey. I've got to push unmute, your mute button.
Yeah, here we go. Lewis, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good, Lewis. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. It's so nice of you to take the time out.
Man, good to see you, man. I'm literally, like you said, I'm here on set, shooting a TV pilot with comedian Bruce, man. So it's a good day. It's a good day.
Good. Now, first, tell me quickly how that came about. Did you go to him? Did you guys meet? How did you decide to work with him?
Man, I paid him, man. I said, man, I need something, man. So I'm gonna pay you to help me put something on TV, man. So, nah, seriously, they reached out to me. They were looking, Bruce and his camp. I had an idea for a show based upon him, and loosely based on his life. And so, actress Terry J. Vaughn, I'm sure you know that name. Mm-hmm. She starred with Steve Harvey and Cedric and the Steve Harvey Show and a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, she recommended me, and then my name bounced around, and they reached out to me and told me this idea. So I kind of came up with an idea for the world, what that should look like. And they loved it and hired me to write it, man. So I wrote and created the pilot, and we're here shooting it this week.
So let's go back a ways. You've been doing comedy for over 20 plus years.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So
I
you
remember back in the day, I was standing out in the corner talking. Me and Mark Alexander, man, a long time ago with you, man. That
yeah.
was long time ago.
So you're doing stand up because now with all these young comics, the transition is a lot different. How did you transition from stand up to the next time I saw you, you were on a writing staff. So how did that take place?
Well, I mean, I started doing stand up, as you mentioned, Philly, the Funny Bone back in the day. And started getting pretty good at it, so I started opening up for a lot of big names that came through Philly: Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle when he was like 19, David Allen Greer, Mark Curry. And I decided to move to LA because New York was a little close to Philly and mom's home cooking, you know what I mean? So I know I'll
Yeah.
be home on the weekends more than I would be in New York. So I said, LA, I got to be there. I can't just go back home if I'm a struggle. And so I moved to LA and puddled around for a minute and puddled around when I moved to LA, I realized that that quickly on I went to taping of episode of Martin, and then I realized that it was I saw the people down there on a director's floor look like me sitting in high back chairs with scripts, and I was like, that's where I needed to be because I went to Temple University and majored in journalism, and I thought that could combine my love for comedy and my love for comedy and for my writing, and so that's what I did, man. And I started writing scripts on my own, and luckily one of my scripts, Robert Townsend, got a hold of it and hired me to write for the Parenthood,
So
and that's kind of how my journey started.
your first script you ever wrote for television was for Parenthood?
Yeah, well, actually, I wrote for a short-lived show on for BET called The Blackberry Inn. It was like a before the internet. This was kind of like uh, um, uh, just for Comic View. They would have like a little 10, 5-minute segments that they would play before Comic View about the Blackberry Inn. Laura Hayes was in it. Bo Peep, the comedian, actually played a part in it, but I actually wrote it with a writing partner, Norman Vance, but from there, the first network show on the staff was the Parenthood. Yes.
Okay. So what was the first time you saw your name on screen written by LaMont Ferrell? What show was that?
Wow, that show was the Parenthood. That was his Parenthood. Barry Douglas was another comedian out of New York. He was a writer on the show. And so, we got hired on there, and it was just a trip because Robert Townsend was like a icon. He was a mentor and a hero of mine. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I watched, him doing stand up. I watched him in the Hollywood Shuffle. So to actually be in the room with him was like, it's almost so surreal. But we wrote our first episode, and when it aired, and it said, written by, had my name underneath it, LaMont Ferrell. It was even. It still happens today, man. I've ranked for all these years, but when you see that, there's something about seeing coming up with an idea and then writing it on your computer, and before then somebody shoots it, puts it on television, and then you run into people on the street or you go speak to kids. And then they're like, "Oh my God, I watched that episode. That's my favorite episode." You wrote that, and it's just something that popped into your head as an idea. It's the highest of highs.
Now, your father was, because today's show we're talking about being a father.
Yep.
Is your dad in your life?
My dad, unfortunately, was very much in my life. He passed away about 2 years ago. But my father was, man. Everybody's dad they believe is the best, but my dad was one of the best, man. I mean, first of all, I had 6 brothers, so growing up in Philly with 6 boys, no girls. My dad was a combination of Archie Bunkie, Bill Cosby, and James Evans, all rolled up in one, man. He was.
Where do you fall in the lineup of brothers? Where are you?
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle.
Okay.
So I have 3 younger brothers and 3 older brothers.
What did your father say to you first when you decided to get into comedy? Was he fully on board or what?
Yeah, my dad was a guy that hard worker, old school Philly guy, but he believed in dreams, man. So he believed that you could do anything you wanted to do. And so, he knew. I mean, I was told people I was going to leave Philly and move to LA. They didn't believe it. They were like, "Man, you ain't moving to LA. You get in a car. You gonna do comedy? When you're a comedian all of a sudden? But how you gonna do that?" But my dad was like, "Hey, man, you want to do it? Hey, you can do it. So hey, go out there and do it. You ain't gonna do it by sitting at home. So if you want to do something, you got to get up and go out and make your dreams come true." I think you maybe remember or don't remember, but my dad started. We had our own business, so we were the first African American family in the history of Philadelphia to own a fast food restaurant in a mall in the city of Philadelphia, in the Gallery, in the early '80s.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he lost his job. He worked at the Philadelphia airport. He got laid off, and he was like, "Hey, man, we got to do something, to pull ourselves up out of these doldrums, man. We had six, like I said, six brothers. We've been regulated eating hot dogs every day because we couldn't afford anything else once he lost his job. So he decided to open up his own business, and he said Burger King sells burgers, Wendy's sells burgers, McDonald's sells burgers, but nobody's selling hot dogs on a fast food scale. We be eating these hot dogs every day, so let's turn these negatives into positives. And so our last name, obviously my last name is Ferrell. So he said we can open a restaurant called Farrell's Franks, selling the very things that we've been eating over the last 6 months. And we didn't believe it, but Mom was like, "Who are you going to hire as your employees?" He was like, "Right here, my 6 sons."
Wow.
And that was it, man. So we opened up our first store in 1982. We ended up having 3 stores and over 25 employees. And in 1988, we got a Small Business of the Year award in the city of Philadelphia.
Wow, you guys! Oh, so you never won a hoodie award from Steve Harvey, huh? I'm just kidding.
No, we didn't get a hoodie award. Didn't get a hoodie award.
Hey, what was your father's reaction once he saw your name on TV for writing that script? What did he say to you?
Man, he was really proud. I've had some other similar success playing basketball at a pretty high level. So he was always there at the games when he wasn't working. Always pat me on the back, but when he saw me, named on TV, man, I would call him from LA. You son, but my dad's part to keep it real. He said it was funny. I liked it, but it ain't no Sanford and Son. That's the funniest show he think is ever. It ain't Sanford and Son, but I thought it still was good. It still was good.
Yeah, nothing like the truth from Dad. Hey, I want to get into how was Bruce to work with?
I mean, I'm still working with him, man. Like literally right now, we on set now. So he's a great guy. I never worked with him before, but he's a really, really good guy. And one thing, as a writer, and you're dealing with comedians, you're writing comedy. He's a comedic genius and had a lot of success. So, but he's one comes up to me after the scene. Hey, is that what you wanted? Did I deliver what you wanted? Your words, that type of stuff, man. So it's a collaborative effort. So I have nothing bad to say about Bruce, man. He's definitely a really funny comedian, a really, really great actor. And I think we have something really special here, man.
What muscles did you have to adjust when you from comedy to acting, because you've done it all, and now directing? What is, when it's your project, is it different?
Yeah, man, it's just different because you're wearing different hats. I mean, when you're on stage and you're doing stand up, it's definitely different because it's instant. You know that. You're gonna live and die right there on that stage. Whereas here, you do have a little buffer because you have cameras and we can cut, and we can edit, and we can redo. You ain't redoing on stand up when you're on stage. So right. Here, I write the scripts, and but for me, it's honestly, man, it's an unbelievable feeling to write something and then to cast it and get actors like Bruce and others to be part of it, and then see your words come to life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then hear other people hear it and come up to you and say, "Wow, you wrote that? Oh man, that was really good. It was really funny. Or it was really inspirational." Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I love going. It's just, like I said, it's the highest of highs.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't available to come shoot it with you.
Man, yeah, I know, man. Your agent never got back to me.
Hey, I wanted to know your family structure for you personally. If you're married with kids, I know you have a son because I've been
Yeah,
following his journey. Is that your only son?
yeah. That's my only son. I'm married. I'm divorced and remarried. So I was married for about 18 years, and my new wife. We just celebrated our first year anniversary. So my son is 16. He's a sophomore. He's from my first marriage, and and we're really close.
What's his name?
And Shane,
Mhm.
Shane Alexander Farrell.
Now, I want to ask you a quick question because we were talking about. So 16 years ago, we were talking about when you first found out you were going to be a father. What was your reaction? Was it positive? Well, you were married, so that worked.
Yeah. No,
So,
no, it was definitely positive. It was planned, so it wasn't surprised. We literally like planned as much as you can plan it, and ovulation and everything. So
oh, so you
almost down
wait. Oh, so you did all
to
of
the
that?
to,
Because you hear
yeah,
that
we
stuff, but you never.
no, no, yeah, we did all that. It was totally planned because we were trying to get pregnant, couldn't get pregnant, so we had to really, go into a doctor to figure out, exactly when the best time for her to get pregnant. So, it was like, hey, I wasn't complaining, but it was like a job. It
Oh,
was like, hey,
hilarious.
now's the time, let's go.
Oh,
I'm like, huh? Let's go right now. Let's go upstairs. It's like, hey, we got to get it in.
okay. Now,
So,
who was the first person you told once you found out you guys were pregnant?
man, my mother, man, my
Hmm.
mom and dad. Yep, we called them on the phone and then told them we were pregnant, and they were jumping for joy.
Did
So
you want a boy or girl?
I definitely wanted a boy, man. I love girls, but I grew up with all boys. Never, like I said, it's literally all boys in my family. My mom was the only female in our house of seven men.
Wow.
So she didn't learn how to drive till she was over 50 because she had seven chauffeurs, that
Fair
could
enough.
take her anywhere she wanted.
Um,
So at some point somebody could take her to Acme. You know what I mean?
now,
So to the supermarket.
hilarious. Now,
So
I guess you
yeah.
kind of knew that your wife was going to be a good mother. Did you have any, like, I'm going to have to anchor this part because, what was going into that? Did you have any?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would hope most people before you meet your significant other, well, not before you meet, but once you meet, you kind of look and see if this person is someone that you could not only marry, but someone that could, be a good wife and a good mother and all those things. I grew up in a kind of a traditional household. So, my dad worked. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't work outside of the house ever. And so my dad was just a hard worker to make it work. So I saw those things. And it's funny, as a writer, I bring a lot of those elements into my stories. I wrote a script for Are We There Yet on TBS based off of my mom, one of the episodes, because when we were young, she would teach us how to be self-sufficient, how to wash clothes as little kids. And so I did an episode about that, which is just funny because as a 8, 9, 10-year-old trying to wash clothes in different colors and all that stuff, you don't know what's going on. She's like, the whites goes to whites, blacks goes blacks, red colors go to colors. You're like, man, clothes are racist. You know what I mean? You didn't realize that all that was going on into it. But yeah, man, my mom and my ex-wife was and still a really hands-on and great mother. We have joint custody, so he's literally with me and her like 3.5 days out of the week. We split it in half, man.
now,
So we
now,
spend a lot of time with each other.
when he was first born, were you guys financially ready for that?
Yeah, fortunately, man, I was writing, working on the show. I was when he was born. I think I was on probably Girlfriends, maybe, or maybe Moesha or something. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely financial ready. I was able to buy a house, and so we were living out in LA in the Valley. So that issue was not an issue at all financially. So it was just you know rearing and bringing up the best child that I could, and instilling the values that was instilled with me. Like I said, man, you from Philly. I have grown up with seven brothers, man. Fortunately, none of us ever been locked up, never been to jail, never had any real issues. And so, and that's because my mom and dad didn't play.
Okay,
You
so
know what
you're
I mean?
saying you
So,
have you have six brothers, seven of you, and none of them
yep,
none of them have ever been to jail,
nope.
and they're all living the life right now.
Yep. All my brothers, not all, but most were college graduates, except two of my brothers, and but they're entrepreneurs. One of my brothers is a barbershop owner, owns a barbershop in Philly. My other brother, unfortunately, Jamar, passed away. My younger brother about 6 years ago of cancer. Unfortunately, never smoked, never drank, but he just felt a lump in his chest and he had a lymphoma, and they got rid of it, but then it kind of came back and it just took over his body, man. But yeah, man.
That's wow. I'm just
But
thinking of all the stereotypes that they try to lay on us. Here is LaMont Ferrell, who had 7 brothers. None of them have ever been in the system, and they all accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. That's I don't want to say that's amazing. That's real.
but it happens. I think we see in the news, and there are a lot of negativity out there, but I think that's what they show. But I'm not the only one. My family's not the only one. I mean, like I said, it all stems at home, man. Kids don't go out and act up out the womb. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's learned behavior. So what we learned in my house was self-discipline, was respect. And, my dad said, you be home by 10 o'clock. You home by 10 o'clock. If you ain't, there's going to be repercussions.
Now, you grew up in Philly, and now your son is being raised out here in Cali. What was, did you have to adjust your parenting styles? What kind of dad were you?
Well, I'm still dad. So,
I'm sorry.
I no longer live in Cali. We moved. We live in Atlanta now. Mm-hmm. So, I moved from LA to ATL about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely adjustment. And people say all the time, your kids act like they do today, and it's true. My son's a great kid, smart kid, is a really great private school that we're fortunate enough to be able for him to get into. But it, the relationships that we have is just different. My dad was old school, man. So, it was yes, sir, no, sir. And my kid doesn't, my son doesn't get smart with me, but we just have a kind of a different, probably a little friendlier relationship than what my dad and I had. My son can, I'll be real, he could talk a little slick, not like in a disrespectful way, but you couldn't say anything like that to my dad. Like, it was, he's old school, like, like your pop was. So, my dad come down, and if you said, like you couldn't say what to my dad.
Yeah, we could.
Like if he called you, hey boy, come on down here. You said what? You wouldn't hear another word. All you would hear was footsteps coming up the step. What did you just say? Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. All right. I'm not one of your friends out in the street. And that's what he would say.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, but now if my kid said what? I'll be like, hey man, come on. Like we'll have a little talk about it, but it wasn't, I wasn't going to back smack him in his mouth.
Now, you were a Division I athlete, and
yes, sir. Temple University.
Yes, Temple University. Played for the great John Chaney.
Absolutely.
When did you realize, or did you always feel like your son was going to be an athlete?
I always wanted him to be, and I always hoped that he would be. He early on he played. As little kids, 4, 5, 6 years old. He liked it. I didn't think he had the passion like I had it. It's a little different nowadays. We could talk a whole hour about this, but kids today is just different as far as when it comes to sports because of the dynamic of this world. When I was coming up, I played with my friends outside all the time, literally all day, every day. That's what we did. Played basketball, football, whatever, baseball in the streets, whatever. Kids, my son plays, but he didn't grow up like that because just the dynamic of this world. People don't have their kids outside anymore because they're afraid they're going to get shot. They're afraid they're going to get beat up by a gang. They're going to get kidnapped. I don't care what neighborhood you're in. Kids are, you ride around, just go through the city. I don't care where you live. Ride through the cities today. Everybody listen to this call and go past parks and see if it's packed with kids playing basketball or football or baseball. It will not be. Yeah. It might be kids out there, but it won't be a whole lot. And if it is, it might be, here a few or there. But most of them, if they're out there, they're with an adult. It's an AAU team practicing, or it's a baseball team or a soccer team. Like it's an organized thing. We didn't have that growing up. We just played. And you played for the love of it. And you played with older grown men. When I was 10, 11, 12, I played against people who were my oldest brother played at Penn State. So he was 10 years older than me. So when I was 12, I was playing against 22-year-olds,
Right.
24-year-olds who knocked me down, beat me up, elbowed me, which I would go home and cry. But the time I got to 9th, 10th grade playing against my peers, it was nothing. I was like, what is this? Like, I'm scoring 25 points a game against these kids because I was going all summer against grown men who, I was trying to battle against guys who would elbow me in my mouth. So my son didn't grow up like that. And I had to be his opponent, and we would play out in the yard and we would go to parks and stuff like that. But I think that, is a struggle for him and a lot of kids, is because they don't put in those hours that growing up that we put in the street. And you just have to get better playing against older and better people day in and day out. You're not going to get better playing against kids your same age only at AAU practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Did you play half ball growing up in Philly?
Oh, yeah. Cut them pimple balls in half?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I taught my son how to play half ball. Yeah, that was a great...
Absolutely. Take out that stick, bat, yep. Put that wiffle ball bat, cut it off, stuff it with paper. Man, we ready to go.
Yeah, we had fun. Hey,
they don't know nothing about that.
No, they don't. So I want to thank you for taking the time, Lamont. It really meant a lot that you would reach out.
Hey man, you my man. So like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, but I always remember the Lewis Dix joke. And the cops tell you in Philly, stop, boom, 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 freeze.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I always remember that. So,
well,
yeah, Lewis, anytime, man. I got your back, man. You know that. We go back like cornrows, man.
Right. And good luck. Please say hello to Bruce. Bruce, good luck with your pilot, and I wish Shane the best this year in sports.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
All right,
take care, Lewis.
All right, bye.
All right, peace.
Wow, LaMont Ferrell, wasn't that nice? That was 7 brothers. That's crazy. 7 brothers, and not one of them is on the negative side. What a father. Now that's a father who handled that, and a mother, but like he said, and then he's a great dad, and wow. Today, if you're just joining us, I'm Lewis Dix. The name of the show is In a Man's World. Today we're talking about being a father. The number is 323-815-4204. 323-815-4204. Give us a call if you have stories about your dad. And I wanted to, we had talked about 0 to 5, and I wanted to go to the 6 to 11 years old. And like I said earlier, I call this phase the first. First day of school, first friend, first bully, first loss, first major scare, and first report card. And like, how did you handle the first day of school? Like now, when we first day of school was kindergarten. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is it kindergarten? Because we call it different things in our neighborhoods. Am I right?
Well, you said pajamas, so you can go ahead and say kindergarten.
Did I say that like that? Pajamas? Yeah, okay. What's the correct way of saying it?
It's with a P and not a B.
Oh, I said pajamas, huh? I'll tell you, every now and then that public school just jump out. And it's funny that you heard that.
The chat room did too.
Oh, did they? Okay. Well, tell them I said hello. I'd love for them to tell us some stories in that chat room about their dads, if they could.
Yeah, call in, guys. 323-815-4204.
So now they got a thing where it's not kindergarten. They got another thing before kindergarten kids go to. It's like pre-kindergarten, I heard. And I don't know what they do there.
It's preschool.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, and they get report card. They graduate. That was another thing that always threw me, having a graduation for kindergarten to first grade. I'm like, come on, man. And that's kind of like your trophy. Everybody gets a trophy participation thing, because the funniest thing as a parent is not funniest thing is if your kid's still writing their letters backwards at a certain age. We did a lot of reading. My favorite book was Are You My Mother? And that I read to the kids, and the B book, the Bernstein, the Big Brown Bear, Blue Bull, Beautiful Baboon, Blowing Bubbles, Biking Backwards, Bump Black Bugs, Banana Blocks, all that stuff. It was I enjoyed reading to the kids. Mom read to them. She read all the Harry Potter books to them.
While she was pregnant?
Yes, and music and but even when they got older, in this age group, 6 to 11, she was reading Harry Potter to them every night. They were excited, and I'd be in the room watching sports. And so I wasn't a Harry Potter fan. So how did you handle the first day of school where you were some parents stay there all day and their kids can't separate. And some parents right away just drop their kids off. They don't care. They just drop them off and go. And the kids will handle it, but some kids have meltdowns, and that's always a tough part in the teacher. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you should get more male teachers in so they can help deal with that. It's just hard. I'm sure it's hard for a parent to let their baby go, but, a lot of parents now, it's all about the kids are right. We could never go home and say teacher said something and the parent would take the side of us. We're like, no, our parents never took the side of us. Like, what did you do? What did you do? So, it's some, like I said, some parents, it's the teacher's fault when the kid can't learn. Some parents think that their kids are the best athletes. And I made sure my son was going to be a good, decent athlete. Ball went into his hand right away. His sister also, I made sure that she was going to be a decent athlete. And I put her in sports early, but she jumped out. She said that wasn't a thing. And she started to dance. She said it made her feel too much like a boy. And the funny thing is she became gay. So that was like, you should have played sports. But I think she's the girl in the relationship. That's what we found out. And it's, we have a caller. Hello, caller. Is it male or female? Hello?
I'm a male.
Okay, good. Who's this?
This is Sylvester.
The Buster.
Sylvester, yeah.
Oh, Sylvester. What's up, Sylvester? How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, man.
It's good to hear you back on.
Yeah, man. It's good to be back on, man. It's good to be back on. Just doing a lot of more work. Hopefully, give you guys better shows. Be more prepared, and just got to work on getting the funny going more. That's what I was told by someone that I trust, and just pulling the funny out more, which TDP provided and Jeff provided, somewhat. But we're going to keep grinding till we can get it right. Right now, I'm just trying to give you guys good content, and I hope you're enjoying this show. Hey, so are you a father, Sylvester?
Yes, sir. You probably don't remember when you was on last years ago. I used to call into the show.
Oh, I remember your tone. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it deeper. I'm trying to make it deeper.
Yeah. Where are you calling from?
Orlando.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you. Now you have a son, right?
Yes, I got a son. Now I have a daughter.
Oh, congratulations. Because did your son play football or something, right?
I don't think at the time he did any sports. Right now he's in karate.
Ah, that's good. That's good. He's got to be able to defend himself. Now, how old is he?
He's 9.
Oh, okay. He's got to be able to know he can handle himself. What made you put him in karate?
So he can handle himself.
Okay. Did you take karate?
Nope. I always wanted to, though. Found out my wife wanted to, too. So thinking about the whole family getting into it, but he's kind of the prodigy. We got him in there, and he's, doing excellent.
What belt is he?
So right now he's blue.
Okay. Now, have you seen a change in his attitude, demeanor, now more confidence now that he's been taking karate?
Nope.
It's funny.
Nope, not at all.
It's funny because I believe 9 and 10-year-old boys are so soft. It's just an age. They just it's such an age. They just they're scared of everything, and you just really think what's wrong with them. I had to keep asking my kid's mom, what's wrong with him? Is he okay? Is he okay? But it's just an age.
Well, he never really had a problem with being scared of with anything. I mean, he's been into a couple of altercations since he's been in karate, and he's done good. But it's just he's still the same. That the discipline part hasn't kicked in yet.
Okay, got it.
That's all.
And how old is your baby girl?
She is 2. She'll be 2 next month.
Oh, that's the snitching age. That's the she's terrible 2s. Woo.
Yeah, I coined her the hurricane because she'll run through the house, but.
Oh, yeah.
She's daddy's little baby. She'll tear up the house, but now it's like, hey, stop.
Yeah.
She'll yell out no and all that, but then, after a while, now it's time, to light her a little bit up a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No. It's my girl came second, and she just, it's something, you love your boy because your boy can be you, and your daughter, you're like, nah, I got to protect her all the way.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question because we're talking about being a father. I wanted to ask you. Now you were married when you had your first one, right?
Yes, sir.
So you guys, like LaMont was saying that they actually planned it because they were having trouble getting pregnant. So where did you guys? Did it just happen, or did you? How did that go about? How did that come about? Your pregnancy?
Honestly, it was a oops. It was a oops, but it was actually like in the planning of what we wanted. Like we wanted to wait 5 years before we had a kid, and when he came, it was exactly like 5 years. But yeah, it was a blessing because it made us, me and my wife, it made us more mature. It made us, because like we was just chilling. I mean, we do whatever we want to when we want to. But then once we found out that we was having a child, we looked at each other and said, "Hey, we finna be parents, so we got to be parents."
Now,
And we I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We decided we planned his life, the best that we could with the knowledge that we had, and I mean, so far it's going as good as we can make it go. It's a lot different from both of our upbringing.
Now, when you say you planned his life, what did that entail?
We wanted to put him in private school, which we were able to do. We wanted him to be in a sport. I wanted him to be in karate, and my wife wasn't really with it at first, but now she see the advantages of it. The actions that he take, like the way that we teaching him to read and teaching him all that little stuff, and how to handle himself around other people.
So it's so you guys are definitely a team effort of going into this.
Yeah. The best we can be,
Has it made you guys closer? Or you guys things seem to be like after you had your child, like, hey, I picked the right one.
Yeah.
Just wondering, because some people say, some people honestly, he's not a good dad, he's not good at things, or mom, like, can mom cook?
Yep.
Okay. So did you want a boy or a girl when you first found out?
A boy. Obviously a boy first.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to assume this, that you guys were financially ready to have the baby because you seem like a planner.
No, I'm gonna say no. We really wasn't. We at that time we stayed in a really small town, and we made decent money for that town, and we had family. So I would say we muddled around the middle. But then as we moved to where we're at, it was like we kind of didn't, but we made it work, and now things have gotten a lot better, and so it's doing better. But yeah.
Now, do you agree that for some way, somehow, I don't know how it happens, but once you have a baby, money starts to come? I found that out. I found that out because creatively, I just started getting work. I just started getting jobs, acting jobs and comedy jobs. It just seemed like, wow, this is okay. At first, I was worried, and next thing I know, I'm working. How did that work for you guys?
Well, for me, it was more of I had to find the type of a job that paid what I needed to support my family. And as a man, it's like, okay, right now I don't make enough money not right now, but then I don't make enough money to support my family, so I got to do something else. Okay, this one ain't what I need, but it's more than what I got, so let me take this one. Then, okay, this one better over here, so let me go do this one. I mean, I was thinking about a week ago, I was thinking like, man, since I've been here for 8 years, I've had about 10 jobs.
Wow.
But it was all to do better to support my family.
Got it. So you did what most people say, you manned up and got it together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now during the 8 years of going job to job, you felt that your wife supported you, or was there any stress within you as a man?
It was some, we had our ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
We had our ups and downs.
Yeah, because I've noticed, I know this happened to me a lot, and I don't know how other men feel about it, and you can let me know, but I know sometimes it can be so tough leading a family and loving a family, because it doesn't seem like nobody says thank you. Like, I would go home sometimes and everybody be enjoying it. I'd be standing there like, damn, is anybody going to say thank you? Anybody going to say, you know, and I'd have to just recharge myself by maybe watching sports or doing something, you know, that I wanted to do, you know. But do you feel that way sometimes?
No, I'm blessed that, man, when I come in the door, both my kids run and hug me. You know, depending on my wife's mood, it's more, you know, the food's ready or whatever. But as long as I got them coming to hug me, I'm straight.
Okay,
you know?
I'm with you on that. I'm saying, say everybody's asleep. And because I know there were a lot of times when everybody was asleep and I'd be up and I'd be just sitting there thinking as a man, talking about, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Life is okay. The kids are fed. The wife is fed. Okay, am I being fed? You know, for lack of a better word.
I completely understand what you're saying. I completely understand, but I don't know. That stuff kind of it don't bother me.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying.
Okay, good. Then that means where did that come? Now, was your father in your life?
Until I was about 9.
Mm-hmm.
He passed when I was 9 years old.
Oh, okay. So now, well, that's okay. I'm sorry. Peace to your heart on that. So he passed. Was he sick or?
It's kind of weird. Now I'm thinking, he passed when I was 9, but I think him and my mom were separated for about 6 months before then.
Mm-hmm. So,
but I stayed with him for like a year while my mom had issues. So, yeah.
Wow. So that must have been. How did you handle that?
I was young.
But,
I was when he passed, it hurt. I mean, it hurt bad. I'm really one of them kids where, like, you know, people could say something bad about your mama and you fight them. Nah, that don't bother me too much. But if you say something about my daddy, I'm gonna break your glasses.
Wow. Wow. So you only fight people with glasses? No, I'm just kidding. That's something TDP.
Well, I mean, I wear glasses, so, you know,
okay.
Just got to keep it up.
Wow, that's interesting. So you have your trigger, like you said, most people, if you say your mom is this, they go off. But your thing is your father. Now, did your wife know that about you?
No.
Reference to did you share that with her? That there's a.
You know what? No, I did. I told her the passing and all that stuff, but I never told her my feelings on that.
So who knew about that feeling and that was a trigger for you? Because we all have triggers.
The school, my mom, and the dude I hit.
Okay. So that actually, so that was an event that happened. He said,
yeah.
Okay, and then you lit him up, and then you. Okay, so you. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So listen, I'm glad. What's your son's name?
Sylvester Jr.
Oh, okay. You got a junior. There you go. And the baby girl's name?
Savannah.
Savannah. So you kept with S's. Well,
my wife did that. She kept the S's.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So, hey, I want to thank you. I thank you if you're listening. I appreciate you listening. I'm glad we're back. Sylvester, thank you so much for giving us a call, and much respect to you. And peace to your heart on your dad, because I know Father's Day must be tough for you. But
man, it was so long ago.
All right. Well, I'm not going to say nothing
I'm
about
the father now. Man, I appreciate you for being back, too, man. You going to be here every week this time?
Every week, man. Every week.
All right.
Until the boss lady say we're off. But normally we're at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. But it's just she has something going on today. That's why we're early.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the call.
Thank y'all.
All right. That's Sylvester. What a nice guy from Florida. I remember Sylvester from Florida. He was.
Chuck Farmer wanted me to play this video clip for you.
Chuck Farmer. Okay, Chuck Farmer. Old school Chuck Farmer.
Yeah, hang on.
Are you mad because the kids are taller than you?
Wow, okay. See you later. Thanks.
Oh, no, he did not quit. He did not quit. Did she say, are you just mad because the kids are taller than you?
Yes.
Could you play that again? That is hilarious, Chuck Farmer. That is hilarious.
Are you mad because the kids are taller than you?
Wow, okay. See you later. Thanks.
Poor guy.
Man.
He's probably, been getting it all his life.
And he's
and
out,
that was the final straw.
Yeah, because he's out there. He's not making a lot of money, if any. He's short. And another thing was, because he didn't realize he had the power to kick her out of the park. He could have just said, remove her.
Really?
Yes. The umpire and the referees have the power that you can kick them out of the gym and you can kick them out of the ballpark. You have that power. You're in charge. That's your. But he was done. He was done. He was not having a good day.
Has anybody ranked on your nose while you were coach?
Oh,
you would have walked off?
No, I wouldn't have never walked. One of my first coaching jobs happened at Inglewood YMCA.
Oh boy!
I was there watching because I was trying to get with this girl, and I was watching her son play. And the guy who was coaching them, they were so bad he quit at halftime. He left. He said, "I'm not coaching these kids. They're horrible." And he left. And I was like,
"Wow!" And you stepped in.
Yeah, and I stepped in and coached. That's how good looking she was. I was like, "I'm getting some of this," and I never got none. So, and her son was horrible, and I never forgot that. But I think Mike Evans or Mike was running the Inglewood YMCA, and I just kept coaching. And then I went over to Dorsey and started coaching. And I had a thing where that made me take whenever they would have a draft with the coaches. And what I did was I made it clear that I would take all the kids who did not get drafted.
Wait a minute. OG Sleepy Love said he definitely had a short temper.
Yeah, that's funny. He had a short temper. That's funny. Yeah, I can imagine the short stuff that's coming. That's funny. I'm Lewis Dix. The name of the show is In the Man's World. I wanted to play clip number 3, if you could. Funny that this had nothing to do with the clip, but 70% of black mothers' births were out of wedlock births. It's something that's crazy. We gotta do better, men. You don't have to marry him, but just be active or present.
All right, here's the clip.
Came out. A la bim bang, a la boom, a la bim boom bang. Chingazos, chingazos, ra ra ra.
And as long as you continue to follow that dream, your dad's got your back. I got you, bro, 100%. You go, oh my God, thanks, Dad. I go, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I want to be an architect. And I go, Joe, I seen you draw. You got another dream? What the fuck are you talking about? You ever think about nursing? What the fuck out of here?
That guy is so funny. Joke. People love him. He was at the forum. Joke. He's a funny guy. I like him. But I'm gonna show that the end of that clip. I'm gonna show George Lopez because George Lopez had a funny thing going on that I love. He's the final clip. I wanted to. The last that we dealt with 6 to 11 first, the first report card, first major scare. The 12 to 17 years old, I call that why can't I have years, and it's when these little individuals who you've created, fed, clothed, feel that they're in charge. They start. This is the period where moms go at it with the daughters, dads go at it with the sons because the daughter is developing things it says this period is referred to as early adolescent. A child develops in 4 areas. That's what they say. Physical growth spurt. Boys grow facial hair and girls get those 2 things that dad hates seeing develop, which is breasts, and we like stop it because then you realize your baby girl is not your baby girl anymore. And cognitive cognitive development. It's a public school, sorry. The abilities to think, learn, reason, and remember. And it's funny because that's the time when you say things to them like, you can't remember anything. What were you thinking about? and people always say this one thing that said that kids, brains aren't developed till about 26. That's the out people use. But it's just, that's the age where boys, boys forget things. They can't remember that, they say things and you're like, what are you talking about? And it's just an awkward age. And it says the third thing is emotional and social development. Kids feel the urge to be more independent from families. And often friends replace parents as a source of advice, which is sometimes good because a lot of things your kids' friends know that you don't know anything about because I guess kids at that age feel that they understand or have a feeling how their parents are going to react. And the fourth thing is sensory and motor development. A little awkward or clumsy. The brain and body are not on the same page. So, that's what we deal with when that age, 12 to 17. Because they're teenagers. And nowadays it's even tougher than when we were growing up because you have all this technology, this Instagram and, their phones, and I remember we used to hear our parents say, I would never want to be a parent now. And I totally get it. I wouldn't want to be a child now. No, or a parent now. It's tough. The kids, everything is on their phone. They live by their phone. It's like that. Now that's one thing they don't forget. They don't forget their phones. They can forget everything else, but they remember their phone. It's definitely it's attached to them. And you got kids who are like third grade with phones. And I always say to kids, like kids come to school in the morning at 7:30 and they're on their phones. And I always say, who are you talking to? My friend. Well, where's your friend? He's right there. So you guys are texting? And one kid one morning came and he was playing chess on his phone. And I said, who are you playing? He said, I'm playing my buddy right over there. And I thought that was cool because I'm a chess player. But, these kids, I remember phones were just coming out when our kids were born. And we used to have to go take Lou's phone because he'd be on it playing games. That's another thing. So I don't know. These kids now, it's so tough. Like I said before in the beginning, I said, you think 0 to 5 years old and 6 to 11 is tough. No, it's tough when they're teenagers. And then it gets it's not as tough, but it seems like it's more mental when they become adults. Because once they leave the house and go to college, you have a different kind of worry. When they're in your home, you deal with the worry. You can deal with it. And I wanted to read earlier about how it's interesting. Lance Armstrong never knew his birth father. And Notorious B.I.G. was abandoned by his father when he was 2. Halle Berry was abandoned by her father when she was 4. Interesting. Mary J. Blige was abandoned by her father when she was 4. Same time as Halle Berry. Maybe her and her father went to hang out. Bill Clinton lost his father in a car accident 3 months before he was born. That was interesting. We have another caller. Is it male or female? Caller.
What up, Lewis? Jay in Dallas, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jay? How are you, man?
Man, I've been keeping out of trouble, man. Just doing what I do. Nose to the grindstone. Trying to close this week out before we go into the Slaughter the Indians holiday.
You know what? That's funny. I was going to comment on I've been seeing so many real posts about what that holiday is about. And it's real.
I think at the same time that it's a horrible holiday when you get down to the root of it. It doesn't have to be for us and our families. We can choose to make it what we will.
Mm-hmm.
And Black and brown people, in my experience, have always done a great job of transforming the littlest and the least things we have into something spectacular. So, I'm going to try to make the best out of it with my family and enjoy ourselves as much as we can. Anyway, but on to other things, man. I was listening to your discussion on parenting, and I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be interested in listening to your thoughts off the air. With so much changing in terms of the pace of technology, cable TV is only about 30 years old, the internet less than that, and cell phone technology is exploding in leaps and bounds, so much so that what was a cell phone when I was a kid now looks like, I don't know, the comm from Star Trek or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
who knows what the next 50 years, 25 years is going to hold in terms of the pace of technology. But our parenting skills, I don't know if they have really evolved or aligned. And so what I'm seeing is a disconnect culturally between the evolution of technology in society and the abilities of our families to evolve and adapt. And I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but as you're describing the kids interacting with their peers on their phones, even though they're in one another's presence, to us that seems weird. To them, that seems perfectly normal. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if our failure is to comprehend the pace of this evolution and then understanding what the implications are on our children and society. And I'd appreciate your thoughts. I'll listen off air, Brett.
All right, Jay, thanks for the call, man, and have a good holiday or whatever day enjoy. So that was interesting. I was taking notes as he was saying, and I'm gonna start back like when we first came up, when our parents were trying to tell us to pay attention, discipline, don't sit so close to the TV. You're always watching TV. Go outside and play. We had rules that were non-negotiable when we were growing up. If you walked in a room, you said hello. If it was adults, you said Mr. and Miss. Certain rules that they kind of brought with them from their upbringing, our parents, which were a lot stricter, and they kind of, I think it came to the point of when our parents were growing up, they ate dinner at the table as a family. Then we started off that way. We were younger, and then when we got a little older, we were able to go watch TV in the living room, or if your dad was at work, and then you can have dinner, but you still didn't have to have breakfast together, where their things was all the meals took place together. And so I think they kind of lapsed. They kind of gave us a little leadway to saying that you could eat the dinner in front of the TV on the little dinner tables. I remember that. And I remember saying, you cleaned your room. Well, can I clean my room? You had to clean your room on Saturday. But if you had something to do, you could say, can I clean my room on Friday, Mom, or something. So they evolved. And then I think because I had certain things that I wanted to stick with as a parent, and the mom had certain things that she was evolving into that I was like, no. Like when we first, she wanted to get a nanny. I'm like, no. She wanted to get someone to do our daughter's hair, and I explained to her, no, you need to do her hair, put her between your legs so you and her can always have this truth together. You can't let someone else get that truth from her. Just like with my son, I'm going to be the one that gives him the truth from my perspective. And she wanted to let the world, because she was in the corporate world, and she believed that what they said, was, even though she came from the Black Panther Party, she didn't hold on to all of that. So I believe that these new kids, like my son, who's, late 20s, I think they're, even as much as they're into their phone, hopefully they'll meet a like-minded person or someone that's not as like-minded who might have some values that they brought from their parents that they're not going to, it's non-negotiable. Like my son, I believe, has a thing where he doesn't want tattoos. He doesn't believe in that. And he's, I guess, luckily, wants to get married before he has children. So hopefully that sticks with him. You can always slip up if she's fine. But I think that they're going to have certain rules that they bring into their home that are going to be non-negotiable. Phone goes down, we're having dinner. You don't get on your phone to a certain time. Because they're enjoying this freedom, but they're going to realize how it's infringing upon their growth. Because it is. And they're face-to-face. So I think it's, because I see a lot of kids who know the rules and know some old school things that they don't negotiate with their kids. They want, like I see a lot of kids on campus, they'll sit on the table and I have to walk by and say, hey, get off the table. And then they look at me and the other kid will say, yeah, man, you don't sit on the table. Who does that? So I think where another kid who does sit on the table don't care. But I'm sure there's other things that he cares about that are important to him. Because some things, everything that your parent gives you doesn't stick with you until you get it. Like, all right, now I understand that. So I think that's going to help in the next 25, 50 years. I don't know what's going to happen in 50 years. That's going to be, because they're going to have flying cars. They're going to have different stuff. But I think some of the please, thank you, and excuse me in the home will stand strong once they get out of their selfish, because we all go through our selfish period of this is what I want. And, once they have children, like now, you see a lot of the parents who have younger kids, totally different. They got to act a certain way. They don't, and also on the other side too, because I see parents with their kids in the stroller and they're on their phone. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you could be walking your child, pushing your child in a baby's carriage and on your phone. They pay more attention to their dogs than they do their children. A lot of people. And I don't get that. I just think it's just too much. It's a lot of responsibility. It's hard work. And I can say that this generation is just not into a lot of work because they have gardeners. We had to do our garden. We had to do our work. So they have gardeners. They have people who take out the trash. They have nannies. So they're striving for this stuff. These kids know going in how much is in their trust fund. So I'm going to have someone that comes to clean my house. I'm going to have food delivered to me. I'm going to have someone wash my car who will come to my house. And I think at one point they're going to look and say, well, I need to do something. What can I do? That's why they're all so crazy. They have everyone doing something for them and they don't have anything to do. I'm bored. Well, go do something. And I think hopefully, and that's why there's a challenge in a lot of them when their kids are challenged. Their kids have, when a kid is challenged, a kid has a learning disability, a kid has autism or something, they have to now get out of self and deal with that. So that's interesting part because when your child makes you step up to do something that you have to get out of yourself about. And no technology can help you. It's face on face. I have to bathe this child because this child can't do that. I have to, when my child comes home crying and says someone did something, I can't call the authorities. If I'm any kind of parent, I'm going to find out what's going on. And eventually, if it is a reflection of you, you will find that out, that it's not the other person. It's what you're putting in this child. So I think that's going to make them put down all this technology stuff and say, are you okay? What's going on? Let me hug you. Let's go for a walk. That's what real life does to you. It makes you say, I need to have physical contact, face to face, talk to you, put the phone down, not text you. And I think a lot of that revolves around birthdays, holidays. I think those traditional things are going to stay with us. Like you said, Jay, we find a way to celebrate for us, not America's so-called holidays where they abused us, but we're going to find family time and call it this. Juneteenth now is a holiday. We now have times where we call it get-togethers. We having a spades party. That's one thing we do when we come together. And the old heads see the young people on the phone and they talk about them and then they tell them to put it down. The only thing that everyone does do as a group is take the picture. And there's nothing funnier than seeing an old person like myself struggle with the phone, because I'm amazed at how fast these kids can text and with their hands going so fast. Code 3 just goes super fast. And she's of age, so I don't, some people can do it. My hands are too clumsy. But great point. I hope I kind of answered the question, Jay, and I appreciate you calling. Jay sounds so intelligent, and I know he is. So, I mean, I can just hear him explaining something to his child or his wife about his feelings and communicating. He just seems like a great communicator, which is one of the things that to be a good father, you have to be a good communicator. So thank you. Jamie Foxx was abandoned by both his parents and raised by his adopted grandmother, which I thought is interesting. But, then I read or heard him say that he moved his mom and dad in with him. Jay-Z was abandoned by his dad. Alicia Keys grew up without a father. LL Cool J grew up with an abusive father. And Lindsay Lohan grew up without a father while he was in prison. Wow. Marilyn Monroe grew up without a father. Demi Moore was abandoned by her father before she was born. Well, how does she know? I'm just kidding. Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq grew up without his birth father, but his stepfather, he always makes a point about how important his stepfather was. Al Pacino grew up in his grandparents' home with his mother. And Jon Stewart was raised primarily by his mother. Kanye West was abandoned by his father when he was 3. And I'm sure there are many more who, who just didn't have dad around, but you made it. So that's important that you. I enjoyed this show. I enjoy any time I get to talk about being a father. I want to thank Jay and my man Sylvester. Was it Sylvester?
Yeah. There's some breaking news I just want to add, but we got to get up out of here in a minute. But that Kyle Rittenhouse guy, not guilty on all charges. The guy who killed 2 protesters at a Black Lives Matter rally.
Wow. Not guilty.
You see, the judge favored him so much. Wow. Just amazing.
Wow. Not guilty.
You been following the case?
Yeah, I've been trying not to follow it, but I've been following it, and that's amazing that he is not guilty on all accounts, to the point to where when the judge dismissed the weapons charge,
right,
I'm like,
it was a wrap after that.
It was like, right. It's no way. I mean, America is if nothing else, America is consistent about who they want to be in jail. And who they want to, my gosh, that is.
Young white boys, pretty much, they don't want.
Well, here's one.
They don't want to lock them up.
But here's one thing we do know for sure. I mean, karma is real, and it's going to come get him. It's going to get him.
I just hope it just reminds me of the other situation, the guy that killed Trayvon Martin.
Right, George Zimmerman.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too, though, that these were. The 2 people he killed looked like him, and the person he shot lookn't like him. It's
probably the fact that it was at a Black Lives Matter rally.
Right. If it wasn't,
right,
then I think. But they did not see. They didn't even see. They wouldn't even let them call them victims, so they didn't see them as. Hey, listen. I want to thank you all. I just wanted to say one quick thing that I thought was important, which of course. I think everything is important. I hope everyone has a good holiday.
All right, come on with it.
Okay, sorry. It's as fathers, we have infinite dreams, hopes for our children. We want them to be the best they can be, but the one main thing that we wish for them is their happiness. So, kids, do your best. Hang in there. Parents, hang in there. Dads, hang in there. Thank you, boss lady. We're off next week, right? Holiday. Enjoy your holiday, and we'll see you the week after. Talk to you later. In a Man's World, Lewis Dix, we're out.